Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. So today we are here to talk about some palettes and some powders. Just a couple of things that I've come across that I wanted to share with you guys. And then at the end of the video, we're going to talk about a giveaway. So if that is something you're interested in watching, you guys are in the right place. We're about to get into it.
I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf.
Alright guys, so let's talk about powders first. Now I know that you guys have heard me in the past say that I really like powders that are talc free, and I genuinely do. Talc free powders work really well because think about it like talc is like baby powder, and what happens to baby powder when it gets wet? It gets very clumpy and glunky. And a lot of times powders that aren't really finely milled, that include a lot of talc, when they come into contact with the oil on your skin, they tend to cake up a little bit. So when it comes to the lower end, I do tend to steer towards talc free. When it comes to the mid to higher end, it really depends on how finely milled the powder itself is. If it's like a jet milled product, or if it's really incredibly finely milled, sometimes you can find a good formula that has a little bit of talc in it. So it really just depends on the formula. Having said that, I have some powders and I have some talc free and some powders that include talc that are actually really good. And we're gonna go everywhere from that $30–$35 mark all the way up to $100 powder. So we're gonna talk about all three of them today. All right, so at first we're gonna start at the lower end of the totem pole and work my way up, and then I'll tell you which one of the three is my absolute favorite of the ones that I've tried recently. And the first one is by Viseart. Now, you guys know that I'm in love with the Viseart palettes, so I was really curious about the Viseart powder, and my sister recently introduced me to this, so I thought I'd give it a try. Now, the Viseart powder is a translucent setting powder. When you open it, it has this little the cloth mesh that sits there in the middle, which is really nice because it keeps the powder from flying everywhere. You get about 8 grams or 0.28 ounces worth of product in here, and the product, surprisingly enough, even though it's Viseart, is only $35. So kudos to Viseart for not making their powder an $80 powder like they do their palettes. Now, because this powder is pure white, I would recommend this powder to anyone with fair to tan skin tones. Anything deeper than tan, it's going to look a little ashy because the powder itself is white, so keep that in mind. Having said that, even though it is a white powder, this has been tested on set, and Viseart is used a lot in film, and this powder claims to have no flashback, and I actually found that to be the case as well. So that's something that I really liked about this powder. The other thing that I really like about this powder is its uncanny ability to absorb oil without getting cakey throughout the course of the day. And because this powder actually does include talc, that surprised me. So it really does a great job of absorbing excess oil on the face and still keeping your face looking kind of demi-matte. It's not so matte that it flattens your face out and you look like the Sahara Desert, but it does a great job at controlling oil throughout the course of the day. So if you're an oily girl, you may want to check this one out. Another thing that I really like that this powder does is it has a fantastic blurring effect. So when it comes to pores and fine lines and wrinkles, this one is top notch. And again, it's only $35. So next is from Hourglass, and this is the Veil Setting Powder, and this is a little step up from the $35 price point, coming in at $45. Now, one of the features of this product that Hourglass really, really likes to talk about is this sifter. And they're saying that this sifter just dispenses the perfect amount of product. It's this gold sifter that has an H in the middle. I'll show you guys a close-up of it here. Now, this is a translucent setting powder. This particular powder is formulated without talc. Mica is the first ingredient in this powder, and again, it is talc free. This particular powder again has that kind of neat sifter there, and this claims to also blur the appearance of pores, fine lines, and wrinkles, and it's supposed to give you a very airbrush finish. Now, it also says that this is formulated without parabens as well, and it also says that this ultra refined powder has light reflecting particles in it as well. They also say that this formula is infused with diamond powder, and that's supposed to help with light refraction to again help with the blurring of imperfections without giving you flashback. So this has a lot of claims. Now, the idea behind this was to come up with a setting powder that could pair well with the Hourglass Mineral Veil Primer. They wanted a powder that kind of did the same thing that the Veil Primer does. It blurs imperfections and helps control oil. Now, when I was trying this product out, I really do love the finish of this product. But I do find that it does lack a little bit in that area of holding back oil. It does allow oils to come through. I'm not excessively oily, so I'm not sure how it would do on somebody that was super, super oily. But I do find that this one does allow some of that oil to come through. Its staying power isn't as much as I would like. I do love this for setting the under eye area because of that diamond powder and that light refracting kind of capability. It's a great powder to use underneath the eyes, especially if you have a lot of texture or if your under eyes are really dry. And again, because it's a talc-free formula, it does do really good underneath the eyes. So I do love this powder as an under eye baking powder, setting powder, whatever you want to call it, to keep your concealer from moving around too much. But as far as an over the face powder, it's okay. It does look gorgeous. It is beautiful, but I'll tell you guys where I rank this in comparison to the three we're going to go over at the end of this segment. Alright guys, and then the last powder that I want to talk to you guys about is actually just called the powder, and this is the powder from La Mer. This is a $95 powder, and it's a setting powder made by La Mer, and honestly, it's supposed to be known for its ultra refined, luxe to the touch, light as air, feels like it's floating on your skin type of feeling when you use this powder. And I will honestly say that all of those things are true. It does feel very, very light on the skin. It is a very luxe feeling powder. It is incredibly luxurious when you use this powder. It does feel amazing on the skin. It also is infused with really, really good for you ingredients. And it's often rare that you find a powder that is infused with things like air spun seaweed and air spun alfalfa, and the list just goes on and on with the stuff that is infused in this powder. So it's a really good for you formulation as well. You're really just dusting your face with powders that are, when they sink into the skin, incredibly good for your skin as well. This also has talc in it, so this is a talc-based formula in addition to all of those lovely things, but it is so ultra refined that you really don't get any cakiness or settling into the lines with this particular powder. It does a good job at blurring imperfections. It does a good job at smoothing out the face and really setting makeup for a long time. Now, getting a closer look at this particular product, when you open it, there's really nothing spectacular about the inside. It just is sitting in a normal sifter. It is in a frosted glass base, and inside you'll just see the translucent powder itself. Now, again, this is just 0.28 ounces or 8 grams of product, so same as the Viseart, and as a matter of fact, you get a little bit more in the Hourglass at 10.5 ounces in that one. So the Viseart and the La Mer basically have the same amount of product in it, which is basically standard. The Hourglass is a little bit of an abnormality with the amount that it has in it, but overall, it's a very nice powder. Is it a $95 nice powder? I guess that depends on your view. If you want to pay for all of those fantastic ingredients that absorb into the skin, then it is worth the money. If you're talking about the finishing effect and the setting effect of the powder itself, you can get that with any good setting powder out there. So I guess it is a matter of perspective with this one. All right, guys, so moment of truth. Of the three, which one do I like the best? First of all of these are Erika approved because they are wonderful formulations that do a really, really good job. At the end of the day, my favorite, though, is the Viseart powder. And the only reason I say that is because of the effect this powder has on the face. This powder does an amazing job at filling in pores and just blurring out any imperfections and holding back oil throughout the day. This is a workhorse of a powder and it works hard for you. And surprisingly enough, at $35, it's the cheapest of the bunch. However, this one, top notch. Alright guys, so a palette that I've tried recently that I just wanted to jump on here and talk to you guys about is a mini from Juvia's Place. Now, Juvia's Place is known for those huge palettes that have those really big round pans, and they have a palette called the Masquerade palette that you can get in that format. Really, really big pans. I would never ever hit pan on any of those. So the mini version of that was really appealing to me, and at $25, it really spoke to me because the Juvia's Place formula for me is just stunning. I was a little nervous about this palette coming in a mini formulation because oftentimes the bigger ones and then you get the smaller ones and sometimes the formulation is not as good, but I was pleasantly surprised with this palette. First of all, for a mini palette, it's still quite big. And when you look inside, of course, it has all of the colors that the Masquerade palette has, except the pans are just a little bit smaller. But who would call this a mini palette? Like, this still looks like a full-size palette to me. The formulations are beautiful. The colors in this palette are absolutely stunning. I'll show you guys a close-up of it here, and I'll just go through some really quick swatches. I don't want to take the time to just swatch out the entire palette. This is not a new palette. It's been around forever, but I did just want to let you guys know that you could get it for $25, which is actually a really, really good deal. Now, this particular palette was inspired by African festivities that have a lot of bold colors, and it kind of represents costumes that are used in festivals, and it has nudes and browns that represent, they say, the African soil and the environments, and then they balance that with really bright colors that represent the festivities around festival time. Now, of course, the Masquerade palette has beautiful bright foiled colors in here that are absolutely stunning. They're absolutely stunning. And of course, then you have the deeper, darker browns in here. For me, the only thing that's missing would be a lighter color that I could use as a transition color. But honestly, if we're honest with each other, we can basically grab that anywhere. We can get that out of any palette nowadays, a just plain blah transition color. So I'm not too concerned with that. I love the longevity of this formula. This particular palette is absolutely stunning. I have it on my eyes tonight. It is really gorgeous and absolutely worth $25. So I definitely wanted to bring this to your all's attention. Maybe you guys can go pick it up because this mini is absolutely Erika approved. And then last but not least in the palette category, speaking of minis, you guys know that I talked about the Huda Beauty minis. I've reviewed these on my channel before and I absolutely love these minis. I think they're fantastic. The Huda formula is beautiful and these little minis were no exception. Well, you guys also know that I've discussed Bad Habit Beauty quite often on this channel, and their ability to dupe products and do it well and really pull off a great formula while they're at it. And they came out with dupes for the Huda Beauty Minis. So they have the entire collection. They have all 4 of the Huda Beauty Minis, with the exception of the 2 brand new ones that Huda has launched. They haven't duped those yet. But the original 4 that Huda launched with, Bad Habit has duped those 4. Now these are $10 a piece, or you can get the entire collection for $30, which is quite a steal if you ask me. But I did want to just take a look and see how closely they were able to actually dupe these palettes. So I've picked just 2 of them to look at, and I've picked the 2 that I thought would be the most difficult to dupe. And the 2 that I picked were the warm brown, because of the reds in here. Those can be a little more difficult. And then I also picked the Smoky Obsessions palette because of the foils in this palette. Sometimes those can be a little difficult to pull off. So we're gonna look at these 2 up against their dupes and see how they perform. So first, let's go with the Warm Brown Obsessions palette, and we're gonna put this up against the After Dark palette by Bad Habit. So the way I'm gonna actually do these swatches is I'm gonna start with Huda already swatched on my arm, and then I'm going to swatch the After Dark next to the corresponding colors, and we'll see how they do together. Alright guys, so we're going to start with the Huda Beauty palette itself and getting all those colors swatched on the arm, and then we will start with the Bad Habit swatches. Now I will say in some of these instances that I actually preferred the Bad Habit swatch because of the color intensity and the tone. In some of these instances, the Bad Habit shadow outperformed the Huda shadow. I will say this is quite similar in performance as well, especially this shimmer. I prefer the Bad Habit shimmer to the Huda shimmer, especially when it comes to longevity on the eye. Now where that didn't work is the lighter color, so like the cream, that color that's almost like a white color. In the Huda Beauty palette, it's actually formulated better than in the Bad Habit palette. But that's really the only shade where I felt like Huda outperformed the Bad Habit palette. In all of these instances, the Bad Habit palette performed as good, if not better, than the Huda Beauty palette. Now in these shots, you'll see that the Bad Habit's on the left and the Huda swatch will be on the right. And there's actually a couple where I just feel like the Bad Habit just looks better. This is in some different lighting. Yeah. Very similar, guys. Just very similar. Bad Habit really has it down. This formula is amazing and they look great. Alright guys, so next up is the Smoky Obsessions mini, and we're going to do the After Party palette next to it. So again, I'm already going to have the Huda Beauty palette swatched on my arm already. We're going to swatch the corresponding shades out of the After Party next to it, and we'll see how they do. Alright guys, so the Huda palette is already on, and we'll start with the Bad Habit. Now that black by Bad Habit is so much better than the black in the Huda Beauty palette, and the second one as well, that khaki color. The Bad Habit I think is more pigmented and I like the tone of it better. As far as the shimmers, which are very difficult to pull off because they have beautiful undershifts to them, Bad Habit really just hangs right in there with Huda when it comes to those shimmer shades. Now when it comes to these next couple of mattes here on the end, I do feel like Huda might have outperformed them a little bit when it comes to the tone, but again, that last shimmer was beautiful. And look at this again, we have Bad Habit on the left and Huda on the right, and I mean, There are several instances where I just feel like the Bad Habit is darker and richer and more pigmented, especially when it comes to the shimmers. But there are a couple of mattes where I feel like Huda did a little better. So last but not least, we have the Aftershock palette and we have the After Hours palette by Bad Habit. Now I do want to not leave these two out. I do want to show you guys some colors out of these two so that you can actually see how these two perform as well. First, we'll start with the Aftershock palette. Now, out of all of the palettes, the Aftershock palette is duping the brightest palette out of the Huda Beauty collection. Now, these colors are incredibly pigmented. You have pinks, yellows, reds, oranges, and then you have some shimmer blues and a shimmer purple. The pops of color in this particular palette are stunning. I think Bad Habit did a great job. They swatch beautifully. They look beautiful. And overall, I really, really, really like this palette. I think Bad Habit did a great job on these particular colors, and I think they did a good job even when you compare it to the Huda Beauty version. Next, we're going to look at the After Hours palette. Now, this palette is a little bit more on the mauve side. These are the mauves that are in the Huda Beauty collection, and I think that Bad Habit, again, did a really, really good job here as well. They did a beautiful job on the shimmers. They did a great job with the mattes, especially that taupey kind of mattes that they have in here, in addition to those burgundies. And then the pink colors have that beautiful shift to them that the Huda Beauty mauve palette has to them as well. So overall, again, I think another win by Bad Habit. I think they did a great job on the mauve palette as well. I think overall that Bad Habit has done a great job with this collection, and as far as making it very accessible and affordable to everybody. I mean, you can get all of these for $30, or if there's one in particular that you've got your eye on, you can get it for 10 bucks. So as far as making something that is typically very expensive, again, very accessible to everybody, is something that I really, really appreciate that Bad Habit does for you guys. So I definitely appreciate it, especially when it's well made. Keep in mind again that Bad Habit is made out of Los Angeles. These are also cruelty free. So I know that's something that you guys are concerned about as well. Now, getting down to the giveaway. This is what we're giving away. So the entire collection of the Bad Habit party collection. So these are After Party, After Dark, Aftershock, and After Hours. So the entire collection is going to be put in the giveaway. And of course, you guys know me. I always end up throwing extra goodies in there as well. But this is basically what the giveaway is. It's all 4 of these palettes. So if that's something you guys are interested in, all you have to do is, as usual, be a subscriber. Make sure you like this video. And of course, put your name down in the comments with your Instagram handle or your email address, or however it is that you'd like for me to get in touch with you if you are the winner. This contest is going to run throughout this week, and we will be announcing the winner this weekend. So again, that's the entire collection to one of you guys, and yeah, good luck. It's definitely one that is worth it. This is a beautiful collection and absolutely Erika approved. All right, guys, as always, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me today. If you are new here, please don't hesitate to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you're notified every time I upload a video. If you like the work I do here, then you're welcome to support the channel. The way to do that will be in the credits at the end of the video. And I think that's it. Thank you guys again so much for coming and hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. You guys, we are over 600 on our way to 700 subscribers, which is phenomenal considering that last year we were so happy to get 200 subscribers. I think we could possibly hit 1,000 by the end of this year, which is fantastic. So I really appreciate you guys. Mwah. Much love, much love. All right, I hope everybody is happy and healthy. Good luck on the contest, and I will see you guys in the next video. Mwah.